Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. There is a series of videos that I'm doing for the Airbus A320 Neo, and today this is another video in which I will cover the descent management, the approach, and then the ILS landing in Dubai. I'm doing this flight from Karachi to Dubai, and if you have watched the previous videos, you will be familiar with all the flight planning and all the things that I've done for this flight. Right now you can see I'm flying over the sea, and just right in front of us it's Muscat, and after Muscat I will be landing in Dubai. So once you are going to Dubai from Pakistan, you fly over Oman, and this is just right in front of you. Okay, so let's get back into the cockpit, and let's talk about a few things over here. You can see the flight plan is updated, and I'm going to land at runway 12 right. So before I start the descent and I get the clearance from the tower to descend, let's enter the performance information, which is really important. Go to the performance and go to the next phase, and over here you have to fill in this information: QNH, temperature, and wind speed. So let's go to any site from where we can download the METAR. So this is a very good site from where you can get the METAR information for the airport, and you can right now see it's for Dubai International Airport, and the latitude and longitude is also given, elevation is also given, but it's given in meters. We can get it from feet in the airport charts, and plus you can see the QNH, temperature and humidity, and wind is given. So let's first of all get the temperature. It's 41 degrees and the pressure is 1004. So 1004 and 41, pretty hot in Dubai nowadays. And let's get the wind information. Right now you can see the wind is from, if I even go to the TAF, I can see the wind. It's 90 degrees and the speed is 10 knots. So 90 degrees and 10. So let's enter this information, 90/10, and that's it. Now we have to fill in this information, MDA and DH, and I will tell you from the airport charts how to get this information. So I have the in-game panel for Navigraph charts. I can just get this information. So if I go and search it over here, let's reduce the size and let's open the charts. So I will be landing at runway 12 right. So I have to go to approach, and over here I have to find this information, 12 right. Now for 12 right there are three different charts coming. One is for the RNAV approach, and this is for the RNAV approach straight away from redeck to the runway. This is category 2 and category 3 in case there is bad weather, low visibility, you have to perform category 3 or category 2 landing. Then this is the chart that you refer to. And in terms of normal ILS that I'm going to perform is ILS runway 12 right. So this is for the normal regular procedures. You can see the information that you need to know right now is regarding the localizer, which is for the landing. It's 109.8 IDBE. If you go to the RadNav, it's 109.50, and it's coming ILS 12 right. So this ILS frequency is already mentioned over here. The heading is 119 degrees, which will be automatically set by the autopilot. You really don't have to worry about this. The information that we are looking for is the ILS DANH. You can see over here, first of all, let's look at this diagram. And you can see the glide slope. The runway elevation is 11 feet above the ground, because Dubai is almost at the sea level, so it's 11 feet above the ground. So over here the barometric pressure is 211. So 200 feet above the ground you will hear this information, minimums. Why this call out for the minimum comes in the plane? Because once you are approaching the runway, you are using ILS, and you have to make sure that you are perfectly aligned with the runway and you're going to touch the runway at the proper touch zone. So 200 feet above the ground, this is where you take a decision and you try to go for a go around, because the precision is not really good. So just 200 feet above the ground, you see, now number one, do you have a visual with the runway? Yes, if you have a visual with the runway, you have to see whether you are aligned with the runway or not. If you're not, then you perform a go around. But if you are aligned with the runway and you can see it, then you proceed with the landing. So that's why this information is important, barometric pressure and plus in the radio. In the normal approaches for the ILS, you use the barometric pressure, but in case of going for a Cat 2 and Cat 3, it is recommended to use the radio signals to get the height, because the barometric pressure can be deceiving sometimes, so that's why you use radio. But in this ILS approach that I am performing, I will be using the barometric pressure, that's 211. So I have to enter 211 over here. Let's go to the next phase and previous phase, and in MDA 211. And if I was entering the radio, I will then enter it over here. So radio will be obviously 200 feet above the ground. Flaps I cannot select full. I think there is some limitation with this plane, but however, I will be performing a full flap landing. Otherwise, with configuration 3, the final approach speed is 152 knots. And that's it. And in the next phase, the go around procedures are coming. I will also try to do a video in which I will cover the go around procedures for this plane. Then we will talk about this screen. Otherwise, for this video, we will just stick to this screen. So now we have entered all the information required for the landing, and I'm just waiting for the tower to give me clearance to start my descent. Once I will start the descent, then I will continue it from there. Right now you can see this distance is not properly calculated, so obviously, or maybe it is. Yes, I think it is. Yes, I think. Because yesterday when I was doing a flight, it was static at 300 knots, nautical miles, but whereas I was clear to the runway, near to the runway. So even if it's, you can see it's under the 120 nautical mile circle over here. So I think it's not correct. 721. It's too far. Even with the approach and everything, it will not be 721. So we are within the range of the runway. Now we can see it, and in all this magenta color, you will see all the constraints. So once I will start my descent, I will tell you each and everything about the constraints, and then plus the colors. What does cyan color means, and what does the magenta color means, and plus I will also tell you how to read the FMA flight mode enunciator over here and everything. So let's wait for the tower to give us the clearance to start a descent, and then I will take you from there. With the past experience with the flight simulator, I think there is an issue while descending to the runway in the way. You don't get the instructions from the tower. So what I'll do is this right now, as I've seen it on my screen, that at DB 520 the altitude should be 11,000 feet and above. So I think we are coming at a very high altitude. Let's request the tower to decrease our altitude by 10,000 feet. If it doesn't give you the instructions, this is how you can decrease the altitude.
Level 260. Airbus A320 descend and maintain flight level 260.
So I can now descend to 260.
Descend and maintain flight level 260 Airbus A320.
I think because right now you can see we are,
descend and maintain 14,000 feet.
the runway is roughly outside the 80 nautical miles circle. So it means we are near the runway. You should probably start your descent, I think, 120 nautical miles before the runway. It's a very safe way to start the descent.
Good day. 124.85 Airbus A320.
So now the plane is descending to
Emirates
260.
Center, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray A320 is at flight level 355, descending 14,000 feet.
Okay, so the further altitude is 14,000 feet.
Emirates Center. Continue to MIVAC as planned.
Okay. Sorry, in the manage mode, I have to descend in the manage mode. Because if the autopilot thinks that, at this point, you are going to be below 11,000 feet, then your altitude will be set to 11,000. But right now, as you can see, This number is coming in cyan color, so that's why it's managed by us but not by the autopilot. But if it is in magenta color, that it means then I've said 14,000 feet, but the autopilot will actually follow the constraints over here. So as we are higher than the constraints, that's why it's not an issue. Descend and maintain. I think I started my descent at a good point. My intuition was good. And as soon after this, I was asked to descend to 14,000 feet. So everything is looking good so far, and we are descending. We've entered this performance information over here. As soon as I'm below 10,000 feet, I will activate the approach phase, and then I will activate LS as well. Just one more thing that I want to tell you before I land. This is something which I have not been touching in my videos, but it's really important to understand this point. How to stop after the landing. So there are two ways that a plane stops after the landing. Number one is the reverse thrust. If you look at the thrust position, you see after zero idle position there is a reverse thrust coming. So after the landing, the pilots actually move the thrust to zero, because this is this technique known as flare, in which 30 feet above the ground you just move the throttles to zero, and then you slightly pull up the nose, and then you land. I'll show it to you on your screens how to perform flare. And once the plane touches the ground, you have to activate the reverse thrust. Now reverse thrust has got different positions. I always go for the full. So in this, if you look at the throttle, there are two knobs over here. So they just pull it up, and then they bring it all the way back to this point. At this point, the engine's actually thrust is reversed. So that's why the plane actually goes back, which creates a drag, and then the plane stops. Along with this, you activate the speeds, low or medium. Max you don't use. Max is only for the RTO, but you use low or medium brakes. You try to put less stress on the brakes, because if the brakes are heated up, then obviously you have to cool them down. In the Phoenix Airbus A320, and I've also seen, I think in the Phoenix Airbus A320, I once landed with the medium brakes, and the brakes were heated up, and once I parked at the gate, I got an error. So that's why try to have low brakes, but you can still land with the medium brakes. So number one, just below 10,000 feet, activate the medium brakes, and plus you have to activate the ground spoilers by pulling this thing out. Why you activate the ground spoilers? As I told you before in the previous videos, that it is actually an extension of the wing on the top of it, which creates drag. So once the ground spoilers are activated, you land, you activate the reverse thrust, and the brakes come into action. The spoilers are automatically activated, and that's it. So it's a very simple thing, and let me tell you how I have configured this reverse thrust on my controller, and how I will do it. So let's get to the controller settings over here, and I'm using this button number 4 for the reverse thrust. So the moment I land, or rather let's do it, revise the whole thing again. 30 feet above the ground, I just this is my throttle, I put it back, all the way back, with idle thrust, and pull up the nose to perform a flare. It's a very short phase during the flight, which lasts for 30 to 40 seconds. You just try to glide on the runway, and then you slowly touch down at the runway, and then once the plane has touched the runway, I press 4, and the moment I press 4, I give full throttle. So I move the throttle all the way forward. Once the speed of the plane is over here, if you look at the primary flight display, once it is at 60 knots, then I first of all reduce the thrust. Let's go here. I first reduce the thrust, and then I release the button 4. So reverse thrust is performed by holding the button, not only pressing it. So you have to press and hold it, and then bring the throttle all the way forward at 60 knots bring it back and release button 4, and then the plane will actually stop. And then once the plane stops, you have to deactivate the brake, and then you can taxi to the gate. So that's how you stop the plane. And right now you can see Dubai. It's all here. There is a video on my channel which has covered the landing in Dubai. You can see it on my channel. And it was a nice landing. It was again an early morning landing, I think at 10 in the morning. I was coming from Islamabad, short vacation with my wife for 4-5 days. It was a nice vacation. But this year I have been planning to go, but unable to go so far. This is the green dot speed right now. This is the speed without the flaps, without the slats. But if you want to go below the speed, you have to extend the flaps. So right now you can see that the plane is stable at 240 knots during the descent. The speed is reduced. But if you don't extend the flaps or you don't activate the approach phase, the speed will not reduce. So in order to reduce the speed further than this point, then you have to get the flaps. So after this point, if the speed goes down, you should set your flaps to position 1. So once I will be activating the flaps, I will show it to you. And let's activate the seatbelt sign. And let's wait for 10,000 feet mark. So then I will be activating the lights, and then I will activate the approach phase, and then we will activate LS in order to prepare the plane for the ILS. Let's go outside and have a look at it. Very nice. Clear weather. Nowadays it's very clear in the Middle East. In November the rains will start. It lasts for 4-5 days. Nice weather, after which there is a sudden change in the weather. Otherwise it's very hot. Right now in Dubai, as you can see it on your MCDU, that it was 41 degrees, and right now in Riyadh it's 36-37 degrees. So still the temperature is coming down, but it's hot as compared to the rest of the places, because obviously it's just in the middle of the desert, especially Riyadh. And Dubai is also very humid. So the best thing about Riyadh is this, that it's hot, but it's not humid, so you don't sweat a lot. But in Dubai you sweat a lot. But it has its own pros and cons. In Dubai, if you're sweating, it's good. In Riyadh, you don't sweat. The heat is dangerous. There are more chances of getting a heat stroke. You can see now the speed is now set to this green dot. It will never go below unless you activate the approach phase, and then you go. Let's see if it is. It has gone. Yes, it has disappeared because the plane has already reduced its speed. Wonderful. Because the speed is already reduced, so that's why the approach phase has just disappeared. Because as you can see, as per the constraints, there was a speed over here. I cannot see the speed. Anyhow, so everything is good so far, and descending to 14,000 feet. I will further get instructions to descend. Over here, these are the altitudes for different points. Over here it should be 3,000 feet. And let's if I open the charts once more, and if I look at the airport charts, let's search for it. I have to set them as favorite because every time I have to type in the name. So oh, it's OBD. Can I see it? Let's type again. It's good to have these charts, Navigraph charts. Again OM. Now I've typed it. OMDB. So let's search it, and here you go. Just want to show you one more thing, that for the runway, now the plane is going to stabilize at 14,000 feet. Let's see if there was QNH given to me. Let's cross check, because I don't want to set the barometric pressure wrong and then miss the approach. So let's see. Okay, so this is the previous communication over here. Descend and maintain, Muscat Center. So there is no QNH given to me by the tower. So I will just wait, or otherwise then I can. No, I cannot even further reduce the altitude. Anyhow, we can just wait for it. So you can see for the approach, 12 left, 12 right, sorry. The altitude at which I should be intercepting the glide slope is 3,000 feet. So at 3,000 feet, I should be in a position where I can intercept the glide slope. And then the angle of the glide slope, as you can see, is 3 degrees. So from this point, the plane will actually start to move towards the runway and will touch the runway at the right zone. This is the beauty of the ILS. It's actually a localizer radio communication device, which is a ground-based navigation aid, which actually tells the plane that whether it's going to touch the runway at the right spot, and plus it's perfectly aligned with the runway or not. And it has PAPI lights. I will also show you the PAPI lights. So we have to be at 3,000 feet right now. Let's
Emirates Center, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-Ray 320 requesting vector to next waypoint. Airbus 320, continue to DB 408 turning and following heading 275, resume on navigation. Continue to DB 408 turning and following heading 275, proceed on course Airbus 320.
Because at this point I should be 6,000 feet. Not less than this, but more than this, but obviously not at 14,000 feet, at least at 6,000 feet. Because I don't want to mess up this approach. I only get weekends to make these videos, and I don't want to do this flight all over again, 2 hours flight, and then just to record the landing.
Airbus 320
Now,
descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
good news,
Descend
8,000
and
feet.
maintain 8,000 feet Airbus 320.
This ATC communication always makes me nervous. So now the plane is descending. As you can see, the speed is still at the green dot. Below 10,000 feet, I can start taking the flaps, and that's it. And then I can turn on all the lights and everything. Seatbelt signs are on. So everything is looking good so far. There is no issue. Let's go out and see. So we have crossed Dubai, and then plane will actually turn right from here. This is the airport. You can also see Burj Khalifa. So let's go inside and let's see what's happening. 12,000 feet. And is there any deacceleration point coming? If you're using the Phoenix Airbus A320, you will also see deacceleration. I think also comes in the fly-by-wire Airbus A320. So I will be doing more videos for the fly-by-wire Airbus A320 as well, because that's also a very famous plane, because it's a freeware. You don't have to pay anything for that. And it's almost close to the real plane. There were few features missing, but over a period of time they have also been added. So it gives a good perspective to the flying. So we should be above 6,000 feet over here. But it's good to be at 6,000 feet, because then I will be able to intercept the glide slope properly over here. At 3,000, you can see at REREC, this is actually a wire. Because we are coming through MPED 3E, there is another 3B arrival, which actually comes from here. So it makes an M. So if you were coming from here, the same procedure, and you will join at VREC via. So at 10,000 feet,
Contact approach on 124.025.
so contact approach, and let's turn on all the lights required.
124.025 for Airbus A320.
Taxi, that's it. Approach phase we don't have to activate because it's already active. And let's move the flaps to position 1. You can now see the green dot speed
Airbus Alpha Sierra
is over here, but the plane speed will further reduce to 200 knots, as now we've got flaps to position 1. You can see it over here as well. I have configured the flaps on my keyboard on F6 and F7. It's, I think, already configured. So F7 will extend the flaps and F6 will retract the flaps. Right now you can see that I am higher than the descent profile. I should this triangle over here for the ILS indicator should be here or above. If it's above, it means you're coming at a lower altitude, which is okay, because somehow once you're near the runway, it will actually come below and it will be in the center. But if it's over here, it means you're coming at a higher altitude, which is a concern, because if you're at a higher altitude, it will then difficult to actually descend to that level. So as I told you before, I should have been at 6,000 feet, but now I'm at 8,000. Let's see if the tower asks me to further reduce the altitude and plus also give me a QNH 2968. Yeah, so it's no, it's the previous one, 2964. See, I told you it's I have been given now, as you can see, the altitude is now adjusted, the altimeter. So now once the plane is at 8,000, it will ask me further to reduce my altitude,
Airbus tree 206
and this is the 3,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet Airbus A320.
6,000, 6,000. So it is good. I should be at 3,000 feet by that point. Re-rec over here. And now you will see this diamond will also start to appear again once I'm aligned with the runway. $6,000, 6,000. So at this point I should be at 3,000. If I'm not, then it's a problematic thing. You can see the vertical speed is 1,900, or rather 2,000 feet per minute, 2,100 feet per minute. It's reducing further, which is a good option. What if I engage the speed brakes and I extend the flaps to position 3? I'm reducing the speed more because I want to increase the vertical speed. You can see this is a very good way to do it. Just activate the spoilers. As you can see, the spoilers are now activated. The speed is under control, so the plane can further descend towards the runway. And increasing the vertical speed will actually enable the plane to reach to the given altitude at a good time. So if I go back, you will see that the speed is now reducing and the vertical speed is getting adjusted. I can just release the brakes and activate the ground spoilers, set medium brakes.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Keep speed not above 185 knots.
Okay,
Expect ILS
2,000 feet,
runway 12
manage mode,
approach
and
via
that's it.
direct transition.
But you can see now the diamond is above, so it means we are at a lower altitude. We are at a good altitude, and I will be able
Descend
to
and maintain
intercept
2,000 feet. Keep speed not above 185 knots.
the glide
Expect
slope.
ILS runway 12
Soon this
left
diamond
approach
is
via
over here
redirect
in the middle.
transition, cleared to re-rec
I will
Airbus
activate the
320.
approach phase. So many things happening at the same time. Now you can see 2000 is coming is in magenta color because this is as per a constraint. I don't know from where it's reading that constraint. 3000, it's 3 or 2, it's 3000. Anyhow, this is something I have started to identify that no, it's okay. Yesterday I was doing a flight, and just right before the approach, the plane was just going left and right, going all the way. Crazy. But now it's good. I think it should go back. It should start following the flight plan. There should be no issue. It should not act like this. Okay. So if this thing happens, you can always correct. can again click it. Let me just set the heading. Now I've actually, sorry, why this thing is happening? It should not happen like this. Let's do it in the selected mode, as I've set the heading 123 degrees. As soon as the plane will intercept this line, or maybe I can further increase it in order to intercept this line at an early point. Now you can see I'm flying it in the selected mode, so that the plane actually follows this line, and now I can engage the manage mode, and then the plane will actually start to follow the flight path. It should follow the flight path. Now the plane is at 2000 feet, or rather 2300 feet, and soon it will be going to 2000 feet. That's it. And here's the airport on the left side, and let's see if it's getting aligned properly or not. I think as soon as I'll hit the approach button, it will further align itself.
20, you are 15 miles northwest of Dubai. Contact Dubai Tower on 118.75 when inbound.
Tower on 118.75 Airbus 320. Dubai
So
Tower,
the
Airbus
speed
Alpha
is at
Sierra X-ray 320,
180
14
knots.
miles
This is the
northwest
full
inbound,
flap speed.
ILS runway 12 left approach.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray tree 20 Dubai Tower. QNH 29.65 wind 098 at 1 tree. Cleared ILS runway 12 left approach.
1-2 left.
Cleared ILS runway 12 left approach Airbus 320.
Can I change the runway? 1-2 right. Turn destination 1-2 left. ILS 1-2 left, and impaired 3E, same one, and redirect. Let's change the runway. And you can see the runway is now changed. Instead of right, now the runway is left. And this is how you can change the runway if required. And now the plane is going all the way to the left, because it's actually trying to follow the path. I will let it go like this, because I've just changed the runway right now. I should have been careful in listening to that instruction. I should have done it before. I think it will go all the way back to the redirect, and will start this approach all over again. So this is just to demonstrate to you that you can also change the runway during the landing. So nothing to be really worried about. The plane will turn back, go to the redirect, and it will start again. I could have also selected this option, fly direct, and instead of going to redirect, I could have selected a point after redirect. If you go here, you can see redirect. So I could have gone to UCREM or DB612, but anyhow, I will just wait for it. Redirect, and I think it will go to UCREM. Let's see. At this point, maybe we can activate UCREM. Let's see what happens. So it's good, all these things I'm doing in this video, because I just want you to show all the capabilities of this plane, and the things that you can do, change the runways and change the flight plan, and how you can do it. So now it should go back. You see the plane is now turning left, because it will just go to UCREM right now. It shouldn't be happening in the real life, because I just changed the runway at a late stage. If I've done it before, then obviously the plane would have continued to redirect for runway 12 left. But anyhow, just to demonstrate it to you, it's good that we are doing all these things in this video, so that you are aware that if there is any issue, how to fix it and how to get back to the flight path. So right now you can see the plane is again turning, and it's moving towards UCREM. It should be at UCREM, as you can see, now going to UCREM, and then DB612, and then runway 12 left. Yes, exactly. You can see now it's setting the course again, and we'll try to follow the path and try to intercept it over here and then turn right. Let's see if it happens. It should do it. Now the plane should turn right. Fingers crossed. It will turn right. And if it doesn't, my video is gone. I have to do it all. Yes, it's turning right. I have to do it all over again. So that's it. So just remember, you should have changed the runway before. As I was talking to you guys, I couldn't hear the instructions properly. So that's why this thing happened. But anyhow, you can just change the runway and then you can land again. I will also make a video now to show you how to perform a missed approach. Because in this plane, in this version, the missed approach procedures are not given. But if you're using Phoenix Airbus A320 or the Flight Factor Airbus A320 in X-Plane 11 or X-Plane 12, the missed approach procedures are given, which are really useful. So over here, the missed approach procedures are not given. You have to basically coordinate with the control tower to get the coordinates for the missed approach and then land again. So right now everything is looking good. All lights are on. Ground spoiler is activated. Just make sure the ground spoiler is activated and the speed is set to medium. The flaps are set to 3. As soon as I'm near the runway, I will actually activate. This is the final descent point, which is known as the FDP, DB612. I can then lower the gears and then get the full flap. So let's wait for it for this point. 4,000 kgs remaining of fuel. So let's lower the gears and let's extend the flaps to full. Press F7, or if you have configured it on your controller, you can see now the flaps are set to full. And as the diamond is in the middle, I can hit approach. You can see this diamond was in the middle, so with this I can hit approach, and now the plane will actually start to descend towards the runway. Let's go out and have a look at it. So a long day of flight from Karachi to Dubai, and now I'm almost about to land. And now you can see the plane is descending towards the runway. Let's go inside and see. You can see now the diamond is locked in the middle. The diamond is in the middle. Thanks to the approach, it fixes it over here and it starts to descend. 1,300, you can see. It's windy. Yes, it's windy. Most of the time it is like this when you are landing in Dubai. I remember my first flight, it was a very turbulent landing. Although the weather was clear, but due to the desert and due to the sea, there is too much wind. So, and plus while coming from Oman, there are mountain ranges. So in the mountain ranges, there are some air pockets. So I think due to this, there is also a turbulence. So for the last 40 to 45 minutes, I thought maybe the plane will not land. Soon I will be disengaging the autopilot and I will just try to land it on my own. But I will not disengage the auto throttle, because during the landing, when I will be pitching up and down, the throttle will be automatically set. So the flaps are now set to full. Gears are down, and you can see now we are 560 feet above the ground. So just right before the runway, I will deactivate the autopilot and I will try to land it, activate the reverse thrust, and the brakes are already active, so the plane will actually stop.
400.
So I can disengage it, and I can now try to land it. And I think
200.
coming good. Just at
100.
30 feet above the ground. Let's pull up a
60,
bit.
50, 40,
At 30, reduce the thrust and perform
30,
flare.
20.
Pull back on the stick, and
Retard right.
now it's time to activate the reverse thrust. My landings are not really good, but today somehow I just managed, as I told you before. So now reduce the thrust and release the reverse, and plus also deactivate the brakes, and that's it.
Airbus tree 20 exit runway when able.
So I'm just going to stop this video here because I'm going to record another portion, that what to do after the landing. So right now I'll just activate the parking brakes, and that's it. So now you can see I'm parked at in Dubai International Airport's runway, just in the middle of the runway, and that's why FSLTL was not running, because I cannot afford traffic. I can also pause it if I want, and now it's paused. With this, I would just like to thank you for your time, for watching this video.
Airbus tree 20 turn next taxiway.
I will. Thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully this video would have given you a good perspective into flying. If you've got any questions, the comment section is there for you, and if you want to add anything to this video, you can use the comment section for this. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.